Like a child, because
A child.
It is what they Then you.
the outsider.
The truth.
They call
Now what's this?
This is all your fault! You're going back to This is all your fault! You're going in the bad toy box. This is all... This is all...
Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Now here's a cartoon that will trigger the nostalgia of animation fans, especially those who grew up during the 2000s. Many may recognize Jimmy as the smartest kid on the Nickelodeon block, accompanied by his robot dog Goddard, and goes on crazy adventures with the other kids in Retroville. But before he was a big brain TV star and doing crossovers with Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents, Neutron was one of the pioneers of computer animation. Back during the early 1990s, John A. Davis was starting to experiment with CGI at his new studio, DNA Productions. And as he was testing out the softwares that were openly available to the public at the time, like Messiah and Lightwave 3D, he had a great idea with the technology. A cartoon that he wrote and storyboarded back in the 80s called Runaway Rocket Boy. By 1995, Davis, along with his business partner Keith Alcorn, created a 40-second demo that featured a kid named Johnny Quasar with his robot dog and presented it to the renowned computer graphics convention, SIGGRAPH, which got a lot of buzz amongst the CG community. It even caught the attention of filmmaker and comedian Steve Oedekerk, who teamed up with the two to bring it to Nickelodeon and pitched the demo to become an animated show. By that point, Nick was fully on board with the project, and even loved the pilot that they made afterwards. However, there were a couple of ideas of what they wanted to do before creating the series. First, they had to change the name of the boy, Johnny Quasar. Okay, sure, I get it. Sounds a bit too much like Johnny Quest anyways. How about, Jimmy Neutron? Has a better ring to it. And second, the network proposed to have a tie-in movie, to which the creators not only agreed, but also decided to make it the debut of Jimmy Neutron, since it would help to have his start be presented with better quality. And when The Boy Genius premiered at the end of 2001, it was not only a hit, but it also became part of animation history. On top of being among the first films to be nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, it was also the first ever animated movie to be fully made with publicly available software. It may not sound like much at first, but Jimmy Neutron paved the way to show what the technology could do, even with tools that anyone could get that could result in other great projects that could do the same, like Flow. And by the way, if I can mention my experience with the franchise, I'll admit that it's been a long time since I've seen any of his Brain Blasts, but I do remember being a fan of the franchise around the same time as I was watching SpongeBob. On top of repeatedly watching the film as a kid, even back when it was in theaters, I also saw a good amount of the series itself. So I am familiar with not just Jimmy, but also Jimmy's dad and his fascination with ducks, Cindy and her attitude, Sheen with his obsession with Ultralord, and Carl with his love for llamas, Jimmy's mom, and also...
Are you going to finish that croissant?
But now that I'll be going back to Retroville after all these years, is it smart for me to revisit this movie? Or will I end up with Yokians on my face? Let's find out. The story. How Jimmy Neutron made his start is by answering a question that almost every kid had at one point when growing up. What if they wake up one day and their parents are gone, freeing them from abiding any rules and do whatever they want? Yes, we did get a bit of an example of that case with Lord of the Flies, but that would be too horrific to turn that into a family film. So instead, the kids of Retroville go crazy around town and then decided that they didn't like it. But if they wish to see their parents again, it's up to Jimmy to lead them all to space and go to a planet named Yokis to rescue the adults from being sacrificed by a giant alien chicken.
Jumping Jupiter! The Earth's been visited by aliens!
For those not familiar with this Boy Genius, yes, the plot does sound pretty goofy, and that's because it's quite aware that it is. In a way, it's a bit like a throwback to those retro sci-fi B-movies and shows that could be corny with their space adventures and alien fights. The only catch is that there's not much to it outside of that. My biggest criticism with the feature is that the story is among its lower priorities. It's not the kind of film that's about what Neutron and the kids experience in the adventure, or what they've learned along the way. It's as straightforward as it can be, where it's about them going to another planet to save their parents. There isn't even a moral or a commentary regarding parenthood and the role that parents play in kids' lives to include that kind of substance that the viewer can have afterwards. While it plays similarly like those retro sci-fi B projects, the narrative is also as strong as those retro sci-fi B projects, and the story's simplicity will make the movie feel like it goes by faster than its around 80-minute running time.
What good is it to be a genius if you can't even go out on a school night?
Also, it's worth noting how it's easy to tell that this is a movie from the early 2000s. Maybe this is a factor that could be considered a plus or a minus, depending on who you ask, but this is one of those films where the soundtrack is dominated by pop songs. It's like if almost every scene is required to have a short montage playing either a cover of a 70s or 80s tune, or a hit from 2000 or 2001. Again, this may get mixed reactions, but this is something that really tells me how this is very much a movie of its time.
I can smell the chemicals. Excuse me.
Bounty holds up better to your toughest messes. Get more done with one.
Movies make it fun to believe in things that aren't real, but
Then again, that doesn't mean that there wasn't any thought that was put behind the adventure. Even if the materials with the plot is pretty basic, one thing that it does to make up for it is by making the most with the execution. Keep in mind that part of this picture's purpose is to get the audience familiar with the characters and the kind of scientific situations that they get themselves in so that they can be ready for the true experience with the series. And in that case, the movie does have some charm by making it more character-driven. It doesn't really matter why or how they go to save their parents. I mean, the kids are flying in space in amusement park vehicles with nothing to provide them oxygen. It's not even worth trying to point out the scientific inaccuracies.
What? Nothing.
But what does matter is the tone to make it feel like this is how kids would go to stop aliens and save the people that they love, providing plenty of opportunities to show off its creativity, and especially Jimmy's brain power to present how he solves problems by being smarter than the average child. And along with the theme of this being a kid's adventure, it also does well to display the comedy. It doesn't exclusively display gags that are based on Jimmy's gadgets and how his intellectual approach doesn't always go in his favor. It additionally used the humor as a tactic for the viewer to get more familiar with the personalities and to play along with the concept of what these kids would do if the adults are not around. This actually works well to make the movie be engaging to see what will be the next thing that could make you laugh. In a way, the fun of this movie is not necessarily going to space to save the parents, but rather, it's doing so with these kids specifically who can make the experience fun.
Entering ionosphere?
Oh, now I know why they all end in fear!
While it's technically its kids specifically who can make the experience fun.
Entering ionosphere?
Oh, now I know why they all end in fear!
While it's
what's this?
But I can get you across. Oh, yes. Definitely.
Now what's
Balls
this?
in this place. Cross. Oh, yes. Definitely. Nasty balls in this place. But I can get you across.
This is all your
Oh, yes.
fault!
Definitely.
You're going in the bad toy
Balls in
box.
this place. But I can get you across.
Now what's this?
Oh, yes. There's some nasty balls in this place.